ASP.NET Core Controllers uses routing middleware to match URLs of incoming requests and map them to action methods. Action methods are nothing but functions that we write on our controller endpoints. Actions are either conventionally routed or attribute routed. Placing a route explicitly on the controller or on the action method makes it attribute routed. When building REST APIs, it's a common practice to use attribute-based routing to map the methods on controller classes to a route template. In this video, let's learn more about attribute-based routing in ASP.NET Core, how to define and use them, and the various use cases that it can be applied with. Hello everyone, my name is Rahul and welcome back to another video in my ASP.NET Core series. Without much delay, let's head off straight into my command line and create a new .NET Web API project to understand more about attribute routing. So I'll use the .NET CLI, use the new command and specify Web API to create a Web API template. This will create a new ASP.NET Core Web API in the current folder. To open this up in the IDE of my choice, which will be Rider for this video, so I will use Rider64 and specify dot to open the current folder. This opens up the newly created ASP.NET Web API project that I just created inside the Rider IDE. I have the project opened in the Rider IDE. So here we have the program.cs, the startup.cs, and also a default controller, which is the weather forecast controller. Let's open the weather forecast controller to learn more about attribute routing. Here, this by default uses the API controller attribute and also a route attribute. By specifying the API controller attribute, it enforces the use of attribute-based routing. So if you go into the definition of this class, it specifies that once it is decorated, it gives us features and behaviors targeted at improving the developer experience for building APIs. And using attribute-based routing is one of the things that this attribute enforces. To verify that using the API controller attribute enforces attribute-based routing, let's comment out this route attribute in this code and run the application to see what happens. On starting up, it throws an exception which says the action does not have an attribute route. Action methods on controllers annotated with the API controller attribute must be attribute routed. So the moment we use this particular attribute on our controller classes, we'll need to start using this route attribute to mention the routes, which is the entry point for attribute-based routing. So let's uncomment this code and start exploring more about attribute routing. Before we understand more about these square brackets that's by default there in the template, let's remove this and start using a much more simpler pattern. So in this case, if I want to have an endpoint which is weather forecast for this controller, I can specify weather forecast inside here. Let's run this application to make sure this is working as expected. The application is now running successfully and it opens up a Swagger UI. Now, by default, the template that we created has Swagger UI set up. So Swagger helps us to explore API endpoints and it sets up a nice little documented page for all the endpoints that we have in our application. If you are new to Swagger, you can check out a related video that I have published before in this channel, which will be linked here and also in the descriptions below. Here, we have a get endpoint on the weather forecast controller. So if I expand this, I can execute this method and try this out in the Swagger UI itself. Clicking this and clicking the execute executes this API endpoint. In this particular case, it makes a request to the HTTPS localhost 5001 where this API is hosted, and then it calls on to the weather forecast endpoint. We get back the hard-coded list of data, which is what our controller method is currently doing. So if we go back into Rider, we can see that here it creates a hard-coded data using enumerable.range and returns back that as weather forecast. Let's navigate to the startup.cs class where this attribute-based routing is set up inside this middleware pipeline. Under the configure method of the startup.cs is where the middleware for this application is set up. Here we have the use endpoints, which then configures the endpoints to map the controllers. This is where the attribute-based routing is set up for all the controllers inside of this application. I have another video which details out on routing and how this map controllers works in routing in general, which is not specific to attribute-based routing. Coming back to our weather forecast controller, there is no mandate that this route needs to match the name of the controller. For example, we can also name this as home. And let's run this to see how that works. The application is now running. It still shows the title as weather forecast because Swagger internally uses the class name to show this. But if you look at the API endpoints, it's now showing as /home. This is because we had renamed the route to be home. Now this has the get method inside that, and we can try this out as before. This returns the hard-coded data again. Coming back to our application, we can also have multiple route attributes on the same controller method. So instead of using home again, let's specify weather forecast in this case. So this same controller method will be exposed on two routes. Let's run this to see how that looks like inside of Swagger. We now have two endpoints listed under the weather forecast controller. We have the /home and also the /weather forecast. This is because we had specified two routes on that controller method. Now both of them is going to work exactly the same because both of them are routing to the same action endpoint on that controller class. These attributes are currently specified at the class level. We can also move this down to the action level, which is at this specific method, that is get in this particular case. So below HTTP get, I can paste in the two route attributes. This is going to map this exact particular method to these route attributes. If we run this, this will work exactly the same as before. So we have the Swagger endpoint and we have the two methods, which is the /home and the weather forecast endpoint, because we had specified two route attributes. Let's now create a new action endpoint on this controller class. So let's specify public string and hello as the method name. Now this is simply going to return a hello world inside this method. So let's say return and hello world. So this is a simple endpoint inside this particular controller endpoint. Let's copy the same route attribute and give this for our hello endpoint and see what happens in this case. Let's run this application. The application starts up, but it throws an error which says undefined swagger.json. It failed to load the API definition. If I was to navigate back into Rider and expand this console, I can see here an error which says ambiguous HTTP method for action. This is because we have the same route mapping to two different endpoints inside our controller classes. The /weather forecast is also mapping to the get method here and also to the hello method inside the same class. The error would have been the same even if this method was in a different class. The problem here is that it uses the same route endpoint. To fix this, we'll have to give it a different route template to map to this function. So let's specify weather forecast /hello. Let's also make sure that this endpoint specifies that it is an HTTP GET by using the HTTP GET attribute. We will come to this in a moment later. Let's run this to make sure this is now working as expected. The Swagger UI shows up fine and we have now three methods, which is the /home and the /weather forecast and the new one that we just added. So let's expand this and say try it out and execute to return the hello world message. In this case, it's getting called into the 5001 and weather forecast /hello, which is the new route that we had specified for this function. If I was to copy this URL and execute it from a different browser window, that is also going to return the same hello world message. Now if I go into F12 and look at the network request, we can see a request being made by this browser request. So this internally makes a GET request on this endpoint that we have given. So here we can see this is a GET request on this URL that we have specified in the browser. Now when specified a URL in the browser tab, it automatically makes a GET request. If we want to make a request other than GET, we'll have to use an external tool or from our code using JavaScript. In this example, let me use Postman, which is an external tool that can be used to make API requests. It's available for free in the internet and I'll make sure to put a link in the description below. I have Postman opened up here, so I can use this plus button to create a new request. I can specify the URL in here, which is the weather forecast /hello endpoint that we just created. Now if you notice here, there is a drop down which specifies which verb to use. By default, it is set to get. Let me click send and we return back the hello world as the message, which is working as expected. If I was to change this to a post method and make a send request, it now returns an error which is shown inside here which says status 405 method not allowed. This is because the combination of the post verb and this URL does not have a valid endpoint listening for it. This brings us to the HTTP verb templates inside the attribute routing. If we navigate back to our application, when we created this new hello endpoint, we had specified the HTTP get attribute. This maps the get verb to this particular method. Now you can also specify the other verbs for this method. For example, when you type in HTTP, you can see it supports HTTP delete, HTTP get, HTTP head, the patch, post, and put. These are the HTTP verb templates that's supported for this API endpoints. So if I was to use the HTTP post in this example and run this, and then execute the same method from Postman, it would succeed. Let's switch over to Postman and make this post request on this endpoint again. Now this returns back the hello world message as expected. If I was to switch this onto get, this would fail with the same message as before, which is status 405 method not allowed. This is because I don't have an endpoint now that maps with the get verb. So depending on your use case, you will have to use the different verbs that's supported by HTTP. Usually post is used when you need to create data into your API. Now that's a topic for an entire video, so let's not go deeper into which verbs to use and when. These HTTP verb templates also takes in a route string. So using the constructor on this particular attribute, we can specify a string template to it as well. So let's copy and paste the weather forecast /hello inside of this particular verb template. By moving this to the HTTP verb template, we no longer need the route attribute on this particular endpoint. So let's remove that. Similarly, we can also make this route as HTTP gets. So let's copy that and make this as an HTTP get. Same with the weather forecast. So we can remove this attribute altogether. Now we don't have any explicit route attributes, but this has the HTTP get, which also works to specify routes. If we go into the HTTP get attribute, we can see this inherits from the HTTP method attribute. Navigating further inside that, it shows that this has the iAction method provider and also the iRoute template provider, which is of interest for us because this is what specifies the routes for this particular verb templates as well. Let's run this to make sure that giving these attributes gives us the same behavior. The application is running and we still have the same three endpoints, which is the get, the other get, and also the post, which is the /hello endpoint that we created. You can pass in data through different sources like through the URL query strings, the route body, form fields, etc. Now for an example, I can come back to this hello endpoint and take in a name. So let's stop this, and after hello, let's specify this is also going to have a name. So for this, we will use a curly brace and specify the name that we need. So we can map this particular name on the method as well and start using it from there. So let's specify string name and we can return hello name. So to use string interpolation, let's add the dollar, remove the world and specify the braces again and add in the name variable. Now this maps in a name from the URL route which is coming after the hello /. Let's run this to make sure this is working as expected. This is still an HTTP post verb template. I will have to navigate to Postman to get this to work. So let's make this as post and specify hello /Rahul. So this is going to return hello Rahul inside this body. Now we have the name being bound to anything that comes after hello /. I have a separate video on model binding which walks through the different possibilities and ways you can bind data from request. As we add more methods to these controller classes, we keep repeating over these verb templates and also the route attributes. Now in this case, I have the weather forecast being repeated on both of these methods because this needs to fall under this weather forecast controller. Usually, it's a common practice to group related endpoints into one class. Like in this particular case, we might have a weather forecast endpoint which might return all the weather forecast, one for a specific city, or also which might allow us to add or edit weather forecast, depending on the application that we are building. Now in these cases, we will have multiple methods in these classes and we'll have to repeat these names. To avoid such repetition of the route templates, we can combine the routes at the class level and at the function level. Let's see how to do that. So when we originally started, these route attributes were specified on the class level. So let's come back onto the class level and specify the route attribute again and specify weather forecast. Now this is going to be the base for this particular controller. With the weather forecast specified at the base class level as the route, we can now remove weather forecast from all the other attributes that we have here. So let's remove from the get method and also from the hello method. So let's remove this and just specify hello. So let's run this to make sure this is working as expected. We have the get endpoint, which is the /weather forecast as before, and also the post, which is now on /weather forecast hello and name. These two are remaining exactly the same. However, the /home endpoint is now changed to be under the weather forecast. This is because the HTTP GET with the home is now getting combined with the route attribute weather forecast. Now, if we want to leave this endpoint just as /home as before, we can add a leading slash to this name or also specify a tilde operator and give the / and home. Either of these two formats makes this particular route to break off from this parent routing. So if we run this again, we can see that the home route is no longer getting appended with the weather forecast. This is because we gave the leading slash in here. By combining the routes from the class level and at the action level, we are making this less repetitive. Now, if we want to change the endpoint names, we can do at one place, and this is all going to reflect for all the routes in below. When we first created the API template, the route attribute on the class had a square bracket and controller inside that. This is referred to as a token inside the routing engine. So tokens are specified within square brackets. This gets replaced by the ASP.NET Core routing engine by the appropriate name. In this example, by specifying it as square brackets controller, it's going to get replaced with the name of the controller. So in this particular case, since we have weather forecast controller, it will remove off the controller from the end and just use the remaining part. Let's run this to make sure this is working as expected. Now we have the weather forecast and it has all these endpoints as before. So we have the /weather forecast automatically determined by the controller name. If I rename this controller class, let's use control RR in Rider and specify this as test weather forecast controller. This has renamed all the constructors and the associated places where this class was used. Let's run this and make sure this has now changed the route endpoint for our application. The application is running and we can now see the endpoints now has a /test weather forecast as the route template. Now you need to be careful when renaming classes when using tokens. This is because it's also going to change the route templates and it's going to affect the other applications that depend on your API. So let's navigate back and undo this change for this rename that we just did. The other token parameters that you can use are action and also area. So the action uses the method's name in our example. So if you were to navigate back, I can specify the route template to be controller and also the action. In this case, it's going to replace the action with the function's name that we have. So let's run this to see how that works in our case. As you can see, the /home is still not affected by the changes that we do at the parent level. This is because we used the leading slash. Now for the other two methods, we can see it is getting appended with a /get, which is the function name in this particular case. The same with the new hello endpoint that we created. Since I had specified a /hello in the route as well, this is getting repeated in our example. So if we remove this, it will only have the one /hello inside the route. Now you can customize the parameter transformer that's used to replace these tokens. It's a very common practice to specify dashes inside the route templates. For example, in our case, instead of the weather forecast being a single word, we can have it as weather-forecast, which is being split up on the capital letter. To do something similar, here we have a sample example inside the MSDN documentation. So let me copy this, which is the Slugify parameter transformer, and create a new class inside our application. So let's go into the Solution Explorer and create a new class. So let's name this the same, Slugify Parameter Transformer, and paste in the class that we just copied. So this class implements an outbound parameter transformer interface. Let's make sure to include the appropriate usings, and this compiles perfectly. So if we navigate back to the MSDN example, we can see here that it is registered under the configure services when we add the controllers. Let's copy this code and also specify this inside our configure services method. So navigating back to Rider and into the startup.cs, we can specify this inside the configure services add controllers method. So specifying an options here, we can paste in the code that we just copied. So let's add in the appropriate usings. This simply adds to the conventions a new route token transformer convention and specifies the new Slugify parameter transformer that we just copied and pasted. Let's run this to make sure it's working as expected. The route endpoints now has a dash in between. So this is getting split at the capital letters and giving that as the new route template. Now this is automatically happening, and it will happen for all the controller endpoints that we write in the future. This will also apply to the action names if they were having multiple words. So to test that, let's go back into the weather forecast controller, and instead of hello, let's specify hello world and run this to see that in action. As expected, this endpoint now has weather-forecast and also hello-world. I hope this helps you to understand more about attribute-based routing and how it works in ASP.NET Core. We saw the different ways you can define the routes and also the hierarchies in which you can specify to avoid repeating the route templates. If you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to drop them in the comments. Also, if you want to be notified in the future of similar such videos, please hit the subscribe button as well. It really helps me to grow this YouTube channel. Thank you and see you soon.